Hi, welcome to Dean Park and the April 2021 layout update. A lot's been going on this month up here on the layout, especially at the West End, which is yet scenically incomplete. I've been doing some major track work alterations which I'll take you through in this update. I've also got my hands on this Pride of Britain Captain Tom Moore Class 66, and that's a limited edition from the Backman's Collector Club, so I'll look at that in a bit more detail during this video as well, and I'll update you on some other bits and pieces that are going on in and around Dean Park. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section below and I'll try and get back to you. If you like what you see, why don't you subscribe to the channel and click on that like icon, and also if you click on the icon at the bottom right hand side of the screen, you'll be able to look at all the progress so far and all the video updates from Dean Park. In the meantime, enjoy the video. I'm going to take a quick look at the latest locomotive to join the Dean Park fleet, and that is the Bachmann Pride of Britain Captain Tom Moore Special Collector's Edition Class 66, and this is available to those who are members of the Bachman's Collectors Club. They've done it in three versions. They've done a 00 gauge, which I've got here, they've done a 00 sound fitted version, and they've also done the N gauge. I hadn't planned on getting this particular model, although I dyed it up. It was actually a surprise birthday present, so I was really quite chuffed to receive it, and it is really one that I will keep for future years to look back on the years of 2020 and 2021 on the difficult times that we've gone through. And it is, as a loco, a very fitting thank you to the NHS and indeed all the key workers who've kept this United Kingdom going through the grave days of the pandemic. Now, I'm not going to do the dreaded unboxing, but the box is quite impressive actually. The artwork on the box is great, and the way they've designed the box so you can see into the aircraft is also quite cool. This comes off to access the model and the aircraft, and these are actually quite impressive within themselves. I've not actually had this one out of the box yet. A nice little Hurricane there. Very well detailed, very well finished. I'm actually quite impressed with that. I might put these on display actually. And the other one is a Spitfire. It looks like in a kind of desert colour scheme there. That's quite cool as well. And I said these are the two aircraft that flew over Captain Tom Moore on his 100th birthday. So let's take a closer look at the loco itself. The Class 66 is very much a current day locomotive, and on that basis I don't know much about it, if I'm being brutally honest. I have seen them running on the network, but in my area of Scotland they don't tend to run past here, so exposure to it on the real network has been limited for me. I do like the 66 and I do like the model, and this is the second Class 66 that I own. I'll cover the other one in a future video. The Class 66 has been pretty much front page news with regard to model railways in the last 2 or 3 years. We've had pretty much a tsunami of different variants and liveries on the market. We've had the railroad version from Hornby, we've had the Class 66 to end all Class 66s from Hattons, and somewhere in the middle we've had the Bachmann one. The Bachmann one's not a new tooling, but it's a very good tooling. It's a weighty model with good detail in the body and a lot of separately fitted parts. So you're probably going to look back and think, overall, amongst the three, the Bachmann is probably the best all-rounder. Finish on the Bachmann model is first class. I've not had any issues with flaws or hazing between colours. We've got the Thank You NHS and GB Rail Freight printed onto the ribbed sides, and it's absolutely superbly done. I've no idea how to do that in the factory, but they really have mastered the art of putting printed details onto uneven surfaces. There's lots of fine extra fitted detail, handrails, grab rails, roof vents, roof grills, and it really all adds up to a very impressive model. As I said at the beginning, I'm not a follower of the Class 66, it's not in my era. However, I have been impressed by what Bachmann have done with this, and they also have put some of the proceeds from this sale of this particular model back into NHS charities, so I'm really quite chuffed that it's going back to a good cause. In the future, if Bachmann release more Class 66s, which I'm sure they will, I might not just dismiss them so quickly out of hand. I might take a closer look and build up a small collection of these impressive models. Let me know what you think of this particular model, or indeed the Bachmann Class 66 as a whole. Which one do you have? Which is your favourite? Have you ever thought about getting one? And have you actually got this Thank You NHS Captain Tom Moore Limited Edition? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Please post them in the comments section below. This view here might give you a scale of what I've been doing with regard to track work during the last 2 or 3 weeks. The new track work goes to the left of where that Mark IV Hornby coach is sitting, all the way around to almost the tunnel entrances at the station. I'll zoom you in a little bit closer on each individual piece of track to explain why I did it, but let's first of all go back to the beginning and see me removing some track and preparing the area. So far what I've done is I've removed the 2 tracks and lifted all the ballast and the cork, you can see there, and to the left. This is a new piece of track that I've just laid down just now. It swings out further. You can probably see the old cork marks there from the baseboard, and it comes round to meet this turnout. And you'll notice the turnout hole for the point motor of the old one, I'm moving it out about 1 inch. The reason for that is there is a wooden support running right the way along here, in fact the twin supports, and the point motor was, shall we say, tight up against that. It worked perfectly, it fitted perfectly, but it made fitting it quite difficult, so I'm going to move it out just a little bit and it'll meet that curve nicely as well. I've plenty of space at this side, and when it comes here to the tunnel I can swing the curve out a bit more, and I'll just remove these and push them back a little. So I'm not tight for space on the width wise, but just purely on the length to try and get it when it goes into the tunnel, which was here. It is running at 90 degrees to the portal, and the same at this end, and the tunnels will be around about here. So I'll relay all this track first. I'll be soldering dropper wires to each of the parts of the track to ensure consistent power to the tracks. And then once I've done that, I'll turn my attention to the next bit, which is removal of these tracks. Right, the track I'm working with is SL100, and it's code 100 Flexitrack, and it comes in just about a metre long length. Basically what I'm going to have to do when you lay Flexitrack is you have to remove the chairs from the end sleeper to allow you to get the fish plates on, and the fish plates are SL10s, alright? So take my knife and just horizontally go across, remove the chair, there we go. Need to sharpen or get a new blade for this actually. So there we go. Now what that allows you to do, as I've said, is take the fish plate and slide it on. Now when you slide it in, you're going to obviously sit on top of that sleeper, and then the bit of track that's joining on will have the same arrangement, so it all fits together. If you don't remove those chairs, you can't get the fish plate in. Now when you put the Flexitrack in, and obviously you manipulate the shape, it'll push out one of the tracks as it obviously flexes. So if I've got a gap there, don't panic about that just now. And you'll notice I've not got any cork underlay down just now. I'll come to that once I've got the setup of the track that I want correct. So I'm just going to curve it round and kind of hold it in position just now. You might want to put a little weight on the end there just to hold it. Check that you're happy with the actual configuration. If you want a complete straight here, I've got these Tracksetta templates, and I would say if I want it straight to say there, you would put the Tracksetta template in, clips into place, so you now know that that is completely straight, and then you can use the templates as and when you need to get the right curvature. You got from 18 inch to 21 inch, 24 inch, and so on and so forth. You don't want to go any lower than, I would say, 21 inch. 18 inch is your second radius. Alright, and they all say, the locomotives you buy, it will say not suitable for anything less than a second radius. So try and avoid going down to the second radius, but if you have to, then it's fine. I'm going to try and avoid that on this particular project. What I've got here is I've got two dropper wires. I've gone for brown for positive and blue for negative all the way throughout the layout. That's just so I know when the dropper wires are coming through the baseboard, I know what they're for. Some might be for accessories, some might be for track power. So I know that blue and brown are coming from the track, so I can plug them into the correct bus wire, which so happens to be brown and blue as well. What I've done with this one is I've tinned the end of it. Alright, and you've got to do that to basically seals all the loose strands of wire together, and it allows it to be fixed easier to the track. So I've just put some of this no clean flux pen. I've put some on the end of the wire there. Okay, I'll just do it again just to show you. The good thing about no clean is that if you don't wipe it off, it's not going to corrode through time. I tend to just get in a good habit of wiping it off anyway with a damp sponge after I've done so, but you don't have to. Right. Soldering iron. What I've got here is I've got a 25 watt soldering iron. 18 watt will do, but I tend to find the 25 is easier, especially when dealing with soldering to cold track. It heats up a bit quicker. Right, present the solder to the wire. There we go, easy as that. Because I've got that flux, it cleans the surface of the metal, breaks down any resistance, and allows the solder to flow a bit better. I'm now ready to present the wires to the track, and I've got to make sure I get the blue or the brown the right way, or I'll cause a short circuit and I'll wire it up. This particular side here is the brown wire. What I've done is I've removed some of the plastic from underneath the rail. You'll probably see that on the camera, and then I've taken a fibre pen and I've just basically roughed up and cleaned the surface of that nickel rail. It'll allow it to the solder to adhere a bit better as well. You might have to just slide the sleepers out the way to give yourself wider gaps so you don't start melting them with your soldering iron, and then you just slide them back later. Right, first off I need to get the solder to stick, so I'll use the flux pen right there. The rail needs to heat up, and then you present the solder. There we go. Solder is now adhered to the bottom of the track, and that will allow me to connect the wire. What you'll see here is I've attached red and black wires to the fish plates, and that is to feed through the baseboard and connect to the accessory switch of the point motor. You can feed straight from the bus to the accessory motor, but I'm just doing a little bit of added wiring to the track, and they'll just get fed through. Okay. Now I'm happy with the track. I've wired up the left hand end with the red and the black, and I've got the droppers at the other end. I've laid some cork down. Now I've just cut them to strips and cut angles. Don't worry about the patchwork quilt arrangement here just now, because you're going to end up trimming it anyway and then ballasting on top, so you're never going to see it. So don't worry about getting it in a one sweeping part of cork. You can cut it up into little bits and do what I've done. As long as it's obviously sticking out from the side of the track to allow you to trim it, then that's fine. Avoid any gaps if you can, because then obviously the ballast and that will sink into that when you start to ballast, and you'll have to do a bit of patch up. But as you can see there, I'm now ready to fix the track down with some track pins. I only tend to use track pins on curves, and then on the straights I space them out quite a lot, because when the track is ballasted in position, it's not going anywhere, it's not moving. But track pins are a handy way, especially when you're laying Flexitrack. More often than not, when you get to the end of a curve, you'll notice that one piece of track is sticking out a lot further than the other. That can't be helped. You're curving it. Obviously the curve on the outside is longer than the curve on the inside, so this bit is pushed forward. That just needs trimmed at the same length as the other piece. So what I tend to do is I just mark on with a pencil. Obviously hold the track in where it's going to be for a start, and then just mark on with a pencil where you want to cut the track. And then taking the track cutters, this is the ones I've using for, well, dear me, I've used them since the start, and then position it where you want it, and then cut down, and then it goes. I've now laid the track and the turnout. The turnout is fixed in position tentatively just now. You're able to see some alterations I've made to the turnout there by bridging the rails with two small wires. If you wish to see more information on that, click on the link to the video at the top of the screen. I've just placed the track in position here just now, and I'm going to start laying the straight into the tunnel and then round the curve. Well, that's the track now added into the existing track. I've now got to put the dropper wires through the baseboard and link up to the bus wire. The tunnel was here. I might actually move it back to its original position, which was here where the paint goes, the track stays straight into around about the droppers anyway, so I've still got a situation where the train will be going into the tunnel on a straight piece of track, which alleviates any issues with clearance from the side of the portal. And round we go to the existing turnout. Okay, the rationale for changing this area here really was for operational benefit. The only turnout I previously had was this turnout here, which takes trains into platforms 4 and 5. They're the bay platforms at the station, such as your ScotRail Class 47-7 ScotRail Express. There was no turnouts on this section, and the reason for putting this one in is it allows a train to come from the second lower line to the inner one to then access platform 1, which is a small bay platform which can hold a train with 3 coaches or a 3-coach DMU, that kind of thing. Yes, there are turnouts elsewhere in the layout with this configuration, but the position of them didn't allow me to quickly access platform 1 from this line. So I decided to put these 2 medium radius Pico Electrofrog turnouts in here. The turnout here really gives access to a newly laid head shunt, and that will allow a loco to sit and then back into the train on platform 1 to pick up its coaches and then obviously continue on this line here. The loco then left at the bay platform after being detached from the coaches can then come and sit in this head shunt and await future duties. This area here will be covered by a large raised section, and it will be a factory installation for a continuation of my linoleum factory that I've got in low relief on the other side of the rails by the depot. So all this section here, right the way around the corner to a tunnel entrance and then retaining walls in front of the depot, will be covered with quite a large area to do a lot of scratch building on. So that's obviously going to take me some time to do that. But I needed to align the tracks properly first, so hence I removed them all and realigned them. They aren't actually in the same position as they used to be. You might be able to see the old cork there, the old lines. Okay, so they have been altered quite significantly right the way across the west end of the layout. It's a similar situation at the other side. I've removed obviously the raised section here to realign the tracks, and you'll see where I've realigned them because the original baseboard area there hasn't been painted, so that was where the tracks were before, believe it or not. I was limited to a certain degree because the tracks going into the tunnel portals were already laid and quite inaccessible actually, so what I had to do was put a sharper curve on some of the tracks there so that they exited at 90 degrees to the portals. I also had to make sure with these tracks that they gave clearance, because they're a sharper curve, the coaches are going to swing out more, especially the longer coaches such as the Mark III and the Mark IV. So that's why I had the Mark IV Hornby coach out earlier on, because I wanted to make sure there was no collision of the 2 coaches passing each other at any points on the curve. Even though the only track that's really going to receive a Mark IV for traffic is the outer one here, these ones will be limited to Mark IIIs, but they can take any form of coach up to and including the Mark IV. You'll also see I've put a new raised section in there with new plywood. That is 10mm lower than it used to be, and the reason for that is if you look at the right hand side where it tapers into the back scene, it lines up better with the trees and the scenic material on the back scene. It also allows me for a more gentle embankment down to the tracks on the raised section. As I pan round, it will show you the new tracks that I've laid a bit better. No track is where it was before, it's been slightly altered with position. So obviously I'll have to do all the signalling again as well. You'll see there the yellow masking tape, that's where the cable trunking will go in the section in the middle, and I'll have obviously relay boxes there as well. And there's the head shunt coming into shot. To pan round towards the other portal. Now I've already fitted the Heathcote signal sensors there, you might be able to see them in between the sleepers, and they're fully operational now. And it'll just be a case of repositioning the signals. Something else I've been doing on the upper section is painting the baseboard brown, just to get ready for some scenic material, and you'll see the cable trunking curving its way around there beside the track. As I move to the straight section, I've used some of the Wills cable trunking, which is slightly broader, as opposed to the Ten Commandments stuff, just to give a bit of variation of style that's been laid, and possibly at different periods of time. And that will continue all the way around to meet up with the existing cable trunking at the station side. I've not been able to make the progress that I would have wished along the front of the depot here. I've been busy on other things, and rest assured that I'm working towards getting that scale model scenery retaining wall in position as soon as I can. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be getting a couple of kits up to test build to check for fit, and then after that's been kind of a-okayed, I'll be buying a heck of a lot of arches, 37 arches in total actually, just to where the camera shot here ends. So you're looking from there right the way to the girder bridge at the other end of the depot will all be retaining arch walls. So a mammoth job there, one that I'm not going to rush because it'll really be a focal point on the depot side of the layout, but all good things come to those who wait. As you can see, I've made very little visual progress on the layout with regard to the Nairn's linoleum factory. I'm still waiting on the railings and some detailing parts to go on top of the first build. West Hill Wagon Works are working on that for me now. But I have been working on Nairn 2, which will be the factory low relief there. So I'm making progress. I'm not entirely sitting twiddling my thumbs with regard to this area. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, especially with my work at the west end of the layout. Hopefully I'll make more progress on that in the next few weeks. And as I said earlier, the retaining wall along the depot might start to materialise over the next few months. If you have any questions what you've seen, please get in touch. I always look forward to reading your comments, and I'll reply to them if I can. In the meantime, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Cheers just now.